The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. Welcome to the Lemonade Car Show, brought to you by OMVIC, Crown, and Sound Insurance. I'm your host, Lorraine Sommerfeld. I'm joined today by George Iny, the president of the APA, and John Raymond. He's a consultant with the APA, the Automobile Protection Association. George, this is a cool time of year to be with the APA. What have you been doing?
Well, our secret shoppers came back from a relatively recent expedition. They looked for a new car in Vancouver, and the results were broadcast on W5 on CTV. You can still get them online. You can find the link to the report on the APA website as well.
Which is apa.ca or on the CTV W5 website as well.
So I'm guessing your hidden cameras led you to spanking a whole bunch of dealers for...
I don't use that language, but only 3 out of 16 passed. So
3 out of 16?
Yeah. So the remaining either didn't have the vehicle advertised, often not necessarily the dealer's fault, the manufacturer. So that's called bait and switch. You go in for one thing, they bring you into another thing. It costs thousands more. In some cases, it was extra charges. So one dealer was charging extra for documentation storage, up to 7 years, a brokerage fee. We found ridiculous extra charges in BC.
More than usual.
Yeah.
Okay, first off, let's tell people what the law is about pricing vehicles and advertising those prices.
Well, why don't we start with a quiz?
Okay.
I'm going to show you 2 ads. So this is a Honda Fit DX.
Okay.
And this is a Honda Fit DX. Which one is the better deal?
Okay, this one says it's starting from $15,190, and this one says it's $16,845. So you think I'm going to say the $15,190.
That's what it looks like.
Except that is a Honda ad, Honda Canada, and this is a dealer ad. So the dealer ad has to be all-in pricing. Everything has to be included in that 16. So that makes this cheaper than the 15,1 because they're going to pile all the taxes and everything else on
And
top.
transport and prep.
Yes.
So in fact, the Honda price isn't the real price.
No.
That's a loophole in the way the laws are written in 5 provinces that are all in.
It's also incredibly misleading for consumers. How are we supposed to know who placed the ad unless you're like looking for the name of a dealer?
And it's difficult for the retailer, for the dealer and the salesperson, because somebody comes in on an ad from the manufacturer and says, this is what I want, and the dealer has to sell it for the appropriate price, the all-in price. And the consumer is getting quite upset because I came on 15.1 in this case, not 16 whatever.
But it's one set of rules for the manufacturer and one set of rules for the dealers.
Yeah, because the manufacturers were a strong lobby in Ontario. They got exempted from oversight by the dealer regulator, and then every other province copied the Ontario model.
So a lot of times if I go in loaded for bear taking it out on the dealer, it's not really the dealer.
It is the dealer, but the dealer's a middle person. They're complicit in it as well. So now it gets worse. So we actually went in for this Fit DX. We couldn't find it. The dealers we visited said it would take 3 months or even 6 months to order it.
Now if they advertise a car, they're obligated to have at least one on their premises.
It's called a bait and switch.
Okay.
And the next closest model Fit that you could get in Vancouver at that time was $3,500 more.
And
it's a LX.
We see this a lot when a car dealer comes in, especially the under 10,000 cap, 9999, 9998. We saw it with micros and the accents and stuff. But you get in there, and they're almost like that's the headline, but that's not the meat.
And the problem is more widespread than those brands. So we saw it with the Corolla, the base Jetta, that used to be a 16395 car. It's gone up now because the model's new, but we didn't find it in any dealership that we looked in Southern Ontario in 2017. You see it with some of the entry-level models from Hyundai as well.
And we've seen this over the last 3 or 4 years consistently.
So I think it's a problem in the industry that really the car manufacturers should be held accountable to.
Well, part of it too is as consumers, we go in there and we want the 9999, and then you go, I have to roll down the windows. The micro, you have to roll down the windows. There's no air conditioning. The seats are cloth
But
and they
the
don't move
retailer
around.
should also
fair.
ask for a level playing field with their
absolutely.
brands that they represent.
Yeah.
Because the Fit is really an excellent $19,000 car.
Oh.
It's just not a $15,190 car. It's not new. Here's another one. So it says cash back up to $10,000 on a 2018.
I'll take all the 10, thank you.
Okay. What we found out is you don't actually get a discount. What they do is they add up to $10,000 to the price of your new car.
So they bump up your loan or the price?
It's not cash back, it's cash forward. You're forwarding yourself money that you're going to have to pay back with the loan on your car.
Plus you're going to pay tax on that.
See, that nobody tells you. That's the trick with those phony cashback deals, is it's a bad way to borrow money. They tell you this, but that way you could pay back your credit card debt. It's running at much higher rates. We're lending at near 0%. You could take a trip with your family. It's winter time, but you're going to pay sales tax on this loan to yourself.
This is like going to your mechanic for a physical on your body. Like, people, these are not your bankers, car dealers.
That's right.
You know what? We're going to come back with some more right after this break. We'll be back with more Lemonade after this break. The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. Welcome back to the Lemonade Car Show, brought to you by OMVIC, Crown and Sound Insurance. I'm your host, Lorraine Sommerfeld. We are talking the crazy, dirty things that happen in this car industry. My goodness, I just can't wrap my head around it. Your W5 interview, secret shoppers, a lot of BC stuff. They're bad out there. Show me more. Let's see if I get it.
Okay, let's see. This is just read us out the features on this Rogue.
Fight Winter with standard quick comfort heated seats, standard rear view monitor, heated steering wheel, remote engine start with intelligent climate control,
You
standard.
can stop there. Okay, so is the heated steering wheel standard?
Doesn't say standard, but it's listed here under the picture.
You can't get a heated steering wheel, either standard or optional on a Rogue S. Nor can you get the remote start. Those are reserved for the more high upscale models.
So I'm reading this list, and not only is it not included in the price they're showing, I can't even get it if I wanted to pay more.
And your expectation is that you're buying it at that price and that's included.
Yeah, with all that stuff.
So what the salesman said is, because it doesn't say standard right in front of those words, it means it could be optional or not available at all.
Did he have the decency to act surprised?
No.
So,
He said it could be not available at all.
oh great.
So-
So it's like buying a car from David Copperfield. This is awesome. Yeah, okay.
And let's try this one. So we looked for the Focus SE, which
Okay.
is a 2017 clear out, and they actually had several cars like equipped like the ad in a selection of colors. But look here. This you had to go to figure this one out. But what do you read here?
Oh, they'll make the first 3 payments.
Not
are on
bad.
them. Yeah, it's
Pretty good. And we were shopping in the early winter, so you've got your Christmas card debt. That means no payments for 3 months. A big
Till spring,
incentive.
yeah.
And then you've got $1,000 Costco.
Yeah.
That's you may have seen that if you shop
Yeah.
in Costco. Well,
Yeah.
Costco doesn't offer that discount on the Focus.
But they've got it right in their ad, right by the picture
No,
of the
they said
Focus.
it's on the Fusion. But the Fusion's not even in the ad. It's not even one of the cars in this ad. And there's no 3 free payments on that car.
Oh, so they're picking and choosing as they go along. This
I
is
don't
so
know.
misleading. How can, consumers, we tell them frequently, do your homework, do all this stuff. You can only arm yourself so much if you're getting lied to. And
can't.
it's so
You
misleading.
can't. At this point, really, you need more robust oversight.
Yeah.
And by the way, these kind of deals, these dealers are also wrecking it for the other dealers. Because, of course, if you're advertising a Rogue S with the basic features, you might lose a few visits to someone who thinks they can get it for a better deal somewhere else.
And not only is it poor practice, but it causes confusion within the dealership for the employees and for the consumer that's coming in.
Yeah.
They work hard to bring people in, and then they do things like this in their own ad mats.
I have to admit, this is why when I find a dealer I like and basically trust, I stick with them for everything and bring everyone with me, because I don't want to have to go through layers of BS to buy a
Also,
car.
why we have this 650 pages. We try to inoculate the shoppers against some of the worst practices. The book actually includes some of the ads we shopped in previous years to show you what tricks to look for.
And there are other sources. You could go online to the APA at apa.ca. OMVIC, which is the regulator in Ontario, has an excellent website.
They keep putting people in jail, 180 days to a guy out here.
And the VSA in BC also has.
I would say, yes, they've worked very hard on information. I think less robust on the ground, and this is what you're seeing. I don't believe, by the way, that information can protect you from this. This is a racket, and you need other measures, more robust measures to to make this go away.
See, what I like with ONVIC, I know they're Ontario, but if you go on their site, if this had happened, this dealer would be listed, or the salesperson who put this ad. Sometimes they'll do their own ads, not often. But the guy they just put in jail was a salesperson. It wasn't the dealership. He was taking deposits and just taking deposits. He wasn't putting the money towards anything. And it was his second or third time he'd been charged, but he's going to jail. So they do have teeth in the laws and they do go in. But you have to report it. You have to call in or buy with the APA. That's the other thing. Talk a little bit about the buying service. 90 seconds.
The referral service. We have a pretty robust referral service in the GTA and in the Montreal region, but also as well in Canada. We could help you where we offer our members pricing on a variety of vehicles, close to virtually everything that's out in the, at least Ontario market. And we give you the cost as well as the list price of the car and what the trading margin would be in your market area or in Toronto or Montreal. We'll actually tell you what an APA member price would be, and then we bring our member to the seller.
So the best way to arm yourself against this stuff is to have the APA on your side when you're going in. We'll be right back with more Lemonade Car Show. The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by ONVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by ONVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. Welcome back to the Lemonade Car Show, brought to you by ONVIC, Crown, and Sound Insurance. I'm your host, Lorraine Sommerfeld. I'm joined now by Chris Muir, my mechanic. We're going to do 2 back-to-back segments of Ask the Mechanic because it's what you guys love best. You ready, Chris?
I'm ready. We'll do this rapid fire.
Here we go.
Yes, I'm just inquiring on a Honda 2003 if we can use synthetic oil and if it has to be changed every 5,000 kilometers. Thank you.
Is there an upside to using synthetic when it's not required in the manual?
So the upside to using synthetic is at a molecular level, all of the molecules in the oil are a uniform size. If you are leaving the car for an extended period of time or running it particularly hard, racing it, a synthetic would have a real advantage. However, you still have to change it at the recommended intervals because it traps the particulate of blow-by, moisture in the engine, all the junk that a conventional oil would catch and retain. Synthetic does the same thing. So you don't want to dilute it with blow-by and moisture and everything else. So you're still into the regular manufacturer's recommended change intervals, even if you're running a synthetic.
And synthetic is more
it's pricey.
costly?
Yes.
Than...
It's spendy, yes.
Okay, so in his situation,
if you're
he's still going to have to do it every 5,000.
Yeah, if you're using the car for everyday use and it says to use just conventional 5W30 or 5W20, that would be the oil that I would recommend for the majority of drivers, unless there's an extenuating circumstance that that justifies the cost of the synthetic.
Maybe storing it over the winter.
Yeah, storing it over the winter would be
versus a track guy.
Certainly, yeah.
I'm not sure which our viewer is, but
yeah, absolutely. So if it's a track guy or if there's a big storage period, a synthetic is the best choice.
Okay.
If it's a daily driven car, a conventional oil will do it just fine.
This is similar to the question of premium when it's not required.
Right.
If you don't need to do that, then
yeah, there's circumstances that require it, but most don't.
Okay, I had another question come in actually on our break. It was an email from a viewer, and I get this question a lot because I'm a female. They want to know for their granddaughter, who's 19, she's going away to school, and he wants to get her a used vehicle that's safe and will haul all her stuff around and be a good option for that age and that kind of person, and this is their lifestyle. I like this question a lot because parents are faced with it a lot, and grandparents. When it comes to used vehicles, you're probably not going to find something around 3 years old because they retain their value so high. So he's looking at older. If we're looking at a vehicle in the 8-year range, 9-year range, what do you like? What would you put? Your kids are tiny.
Yeah, my kids are tiny. For going away to a university town, I can count on books. I can count on cases of pop. It's going to be a well-rounded car. It's going to have to fit into little tiny dorm parking spots and everything else like that. I would be looking for something that has a reliable reputation, be it a Corolla, be it a Fit, be it a Fiesta, something that has a new car driver in mind that can be used for, again, hauling groceries back from the store. Not too expensive on fuel. It's a college kid. There's going to be no extra money for gas.
I'm a big fan of Hyundai. I buy them myself,
Yeah.
but especially in this niche because Hondas and Toyotas with their retained value are going to put it a couple $1,000s more,
That's true.
$1,500 more. And the Hyundais and Kias have been doing great work.
They've been fantastic
The fuel
cars. The
economies
styles
are
on point. I mean,
my kids really like them.
I just honestly, it's one of those cars where I don't have any concerns with them, so I forget about them entirely. But
That's
they're
kinda perfect.
certainly a car to invest in.
Well, the other thing is if your 19-year-old comes home from school and there's dings and bings on the car because kids are kids and parking lots are parking lots, you don't want to be getting upset about it.
No.
So you don't want to be laying out a lot of German marks, dollars, euros, or something like that.
You certainly don't want to send brand new, because, well, I went to college once, and I'll tell you, the cars in the dorm rooms, they never blended well, right? There's a drunk kid falling into a fender, now there's a dent in the fender. So something really spendy or really brand new is not ideal.
The other thing is when kids are away at school, and I know this from first-hand experience, they don't always keep the maintenance schedule up the way parents and grandparents do here. And a lot of times the garage you deal with is in your town,
That's
and the
right.
kid might be 3 or 4 hours away or more. So you want something that can get a little beat on and not show
Yeah.
the wear, or hopefully call that town and arrange a mechanic in your kid's town. And you can call, and they'll even take your Visa card over the phone half the time if you set up a relationship with them. But you know, with maintenance getting a little squirrely, you want something that's a little bulletproof.
Bulletproof, simple, basic.
Simple.
Don't go fancy for a
Okay.
first university car.
We'll be back after this break with more Lemonade Car Show. The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. The Lemonade Car Show is sponsored by OMVIC, Ontario's vehicle sales regulator. Welcome back to the Lemonade Car Show, brought to you by OMVIC, Crown and Sound Insurance. I'm your host, Lorraine Sommerfeld. I'm with Chris Muir. We are doing Ask a Mechanic segments, the two of us. Let's just go to our next question.
My question is, how can these garages, and that includes the garages and the mechanics at dealerships, get away with sabotaging the vehicles? That is to say, you go in for, say, a regular scheduled maintenance, oil change or whatever, and then within the next few days or the week, something else breaks down on the car coincidentally. And I've seen this happen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. And the person goes back and quite often it's beyond the warranty, and the person is paying. So obviously, it's a scam. So my question is, how can these garages, which includes the dealerships, get away with this? There's no reprimand. There's no punishment. I worked on cars. I worked in gas stations and seen how mechanics can sabotage cars.
Okay, I took this question for a reason. And it wasn't the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times he's seen this happen, but we've both been in this industry for an awful long time.
Yes.
And I got to tell you, folks, people are not out there sabotaging your car.
No.
There are bad apples. There are
Yep.
people that do really terrible things. I'm not, and we hopefully between the APA and OMVIC and CAMVAP and the layers of law that we have, we're putting stuff in place. But basically, nobody is sabotaging your car because they wouldn't be in business
No.
if they did this repeatedly.
No, word of mouth is a very potent thing, and it spreads like wildfire now. You can look at any garage or service station that you'd like to go to, and you can find dirt on them on Facebook, on Google reviews, on Reddit. There is a plethora of resources that can sully a garage's name, whether they be guilty or not. Nobody that I know of is taking the time to sabotage a vehicle in any way, shape, or form.
And one thing that happens, and I see this with air conditioning in older cars. About
Yep.
10 years old, I tell people, don't bother fixing your air conditioning if your car's 10 years old, because it's made of 3 major parts, the compressor, the evaporator,
The condenser.
and the condenser. I knew that. And so a lot of times they'll diagnose that there's a leak in one, and so
Yep.
they fix it, and then honestly, it happened to me. A week later, another piece went.
Sure.
So if your car's in the shop for something, everything in that car is the same age as that
Yep.
thing they fixed or replaced. It's not crazy.
We actually, it's almost a running joke when we get into a car where we see a stack of problems. We can recommend to repair the system that the customer has a complaint with, and we can try to foresee. We get out the crystal ball and we try and foresee what's next, and we make a list, and here you go, and everything else. But there's things that we can't see, and we call it an ever since. And it's something like, ever since you changed my oil, the radio doesn't come on. Ever since you rotated my tires, I have a brake light out. It's things that are not related to one another in any more than they are on the same vehicle. And I've seen it. I've seen it where the car comes back and it has nothing to do with the repair that you've made, but someone suspects because I've just paid a large bill that the whole car should have been covered. Unfortunately, we can't cover the whole car. We can only cover the effective repair that we've made.
And that's the thing. If you're within your warranty period, if you've got a problem with something, get a paper record.
Yes.
Tell them. If you've got a weird noise, get it on the record before the warranty.
Don't wait.
And make sure they close it out. So that means when you go in there and say it's making this funny noise, make them make a copy of it, make them close it out and hand you a copy that they've written it down. Don't just walk out without having a written record that you brought it to their attention.
That's right.
Outside the warranty period, things break, especially electrical. That's becoming the new bugaboo. And electrical issues are the most voodoo for you guys and for consumers.
They take a skill set and they take time, and a lot of the time it used to be you go in and my carburetor's not tuned properly. No problem, we'll just fiddle with a couple screws and away you go again. Yeah. Now it's my car doesn't run properly, and is it the ECM, is it body controller, is it the fuel injector, is it the harness, is it? There's so many things that can affect the way fuel is delivered in a modern car, as an example, that it's not as simple as playing with a small self-contained unit. There's other systems that are reliant on other systems.
And probably the worst word you hear, or that we hear, is intermittent.
Intermittent, yes. It was doing it 3 weeks ago as I turned into Grandma's driveway. She's only about 4 hours away, and it only did it the once, but I'd like you to figure it out. I can't replicate the problem. I can't fix the problem.
And sometimes mechanics, we have to leave the car with them. They have to drive it for a few days to try and have it do the same thing so they know. If you have a good relationship with your mechanics, I do. I tell people who my mechanics are because it's the best way to spread the word when they're good, and ask your neighbors, ask your family, ask people that you trust. But they have to duplicate that problem if it's intermittent. You might have to leave it with them. That's not weird. That's not rare. No. Hopefully it'll happen. Yeah. And it will conk out on you as you drive home instead of on me as I drive home.
Yeah, and I've had it before where we've had it hooked up. It looks like it's gone to a sleep apnea clinic where we've got a gauge here and we've got a pad over here and we've got a vibration sensor over there. And I'm driving this thing down the road, trying to look at the gauge, trying to look at the road, kind of listening to a scanner off to the side, waiting for this thing to slip up.
Sleep apnea, that might be your best one yet. That's all the time we have for Lemonade Car Show. I'd like to thank Omvik, Crown and Sound Insurance, and my great mechanic, Chris Muir, and thanks to you viewers.